Hello and welcome to my channel, guys. In this video I will build the famous German World War II assault gun, the Sturmgeschütz. I bought this model from a fellow modder friend for a good price. It's been in my stash for some time now. I need to take a little break from aircraft models, so why not build it? Let's check the model out. This Revell kit is from the year 1996. Think it's a rebox from the Gunze Sangyo or Dragon kit from the early 90s. The quality of the kit isn't the worst. There are visible pin marks in lots of parts, but I've seen worse. The model has nice visible small details like weldings and bolts. You can choose from an option to let the door hatches open, and the main gun is also movable. Details on the running gear ain't that bad. It's a 30-year-old kit, so I take it as an excuse. The tracks are made from separate parts, which is very pleasant for me, because I am not a big fan of rubber tracks. The waterslide decals are older than my driver's license. But I will give it a try. Cool, looks like a fun project. Let's grab some pliers and hobby knives and let's start with the build. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell for not missing any new notifications. I started to build the StuG by gluing the chassis. First, I glued the front drive wheel parts, suspensions and the rear drive wheels together. All these small parts have pin marks and lots of burrs. They need to be cleaned before gluing. Luckily, the plastic is softer. Next, I clean all the wheels from seam lines with a nail file. For a more used look, I create damage with a hobby knife. After it's done, I glue the wheels together and smooth out the sanded areas with Mr. Cement glue. Let's continue with the driving and driven wheels. A small brake from the wheels. Let's glue the StuG's exhaust and towing mechanism. Back to the wheels. This time I will not glue them right away. I stick them in place only with Uhu Patafix. My goal is to adjust the running gear and the tracks while the glue is still relatively wet. So for this purpose I use rubber contact glue. It doesn't dry so fast and I have plenty of time to adjust the tracks in the correct shape. One tank track included 114 pieces. The track parts fit very good together, so the assembly was pretty fast. Okay, let's adjust the running gear and tracks in the correct shape. The Revell glue is still flexible enough so I can bend the tracks however I want. When it's done, I do the same thing on the other side. Next, I built the upper part of the hull with the 75mm gun. The model uses a simple pin mechanism to move the cannon. I really like it. One of the most common distinguishing features of the StuG was its cannon shroud, the so-called Saugkopfblende. For an old school model, the fit is very good. Let's create heavy textures with putty. For this purpose, I'm using mix of Revell Plasto putty and Mr. Cement glue. This mix is very good to apply and dries fast. You don't need to be worried if the mix ratio is correct. Sometimes the mix is thicker and sometimes it's not. If you have the feeling the surface of the texture looks very rough, you can easily smooth it with sandpaper. Next, I create a scratch build stowage enclosure. For this scratch build, I use materials like 0.3mm aluminum and plastic plates. The model looks a little bit dull. I have the idea to equip the model with stowage like tarps, a fuel drum, canisters and boxes with weapons. I never did this before, but I found very cool pictures of fully loaded StuGs, so I took the inspiration to do it. Okay, before I get to something more interesting, let's enjoy the build by gluing more parts and auxiliary tools. Lucky for me, most of the pin marks were located on the tracks and not so good visible surfaces. The model has a small number of visible pin marks on the top of the hull. I filled them up with Mr. White Pz.IV and sanded down with a sandstick. Now to the additionals. I have lots of accessories in my stock, such as figures, weapons, fuel drums, canisters, boxes, helmets, and much more. The tarps will be created from a paper napkin. Creating tarps from a paper napkin is very easy. Place the napkin wherever you want to. In my case, it's the back of the enclosure. Gently press a flat paintbrush soaked in a mix of water and PVA glue into the paper napkin and form it into a needed shape. If it's necessary, bend the napkin in some places. It will create a more realistic look. Now I add the additionals like spare wheels, a 200-liter fuel drum, fuel and water canisters, ammo boxes, weapons, crew personal items, and a tanker figure. I had the idea to add a copper wire with metal hooks for the helmets. Don't know if it's historically accurate, but I like it. Another experiment is a large wooden log behind the stowage. I'm still deciding what to do, leave it or not. Maybe I'll redo it. And this is how the Sturmgeschütz looks for now. In many aspects, building this old school kit was very pleasant. In the second part of the build, I will focus on painting, weathering, and much more. Please subscribe to my channel, like or share. If you are interested, stay in touch for my other projects. Until then, stay awesome guys, bye!